If you have ever tried to build a dock in Valheim, you've probably realised that it can be pretty challenging, especially if you don't have much experience building over water. Luckily for you, I've spent literally hundreds of hours building in Valheim now, and I'm going to show you all the best ways that I've found for building over water at each stage of the game. Starting with wood, going through stone and black marble, and ending with grausten, the new Ashlands tier heavy building component. The techniques I'm going to show you are the exact ones that I used to create boat docks like this, and more recently like this. So by the end of the video, you'll have all the knowledge you need to build your own dock to your own preference, no matter the size, shape or material that you had in mind for it. When you first come to build a dock in Valheim, it's likely that you're going to have either just the regular wood pieces and potentially some log pole pieces if you have some core wood to spare. When it comes to building a wooden dock, either of these will work and they kind of work as substitutes for each other. I'm going to use the regular wood, but you can use whatever you want in your own design and nothing will actually change. So choose a starting point. Obviously I've already mapped out a starting point for this, so I've placed down some wood poles, and then using the snapping points we're going to come 2 out, and then we're going to come down as many as we need to until the bottom piece is blue, which means that it's connected to the ground and as strong as it possibly can be. We'll do the same on the other side, and then we can fill this gap in between them with wood floor 2x2s. Now with this sort of 2x2 base shape, you can use this to create any sort of dock shape that you want. The only thing with wooden docks is that they aren't as strong as some of the other building components in the game, which means that you will be slightly limited by the depth in which you can build to. But as you can see, just building this simple sort of bay by bay, you can start to build a really simple dock, but a really functional dock for the early stages of the game. So you can see this one here is not connected to the ground, so we need to make sure that a third one here is connected, and then we will fill this up with the wood floor 2x2, just like this. Now when it comes to actually decorating your wooden dock, I would probably just stick with something simple at this stage because, like I said, you are going to probably move on from wooden docks quite soon and start building with something like stone. So I would probably just build around with the wood pole 1 meter and then just connect these to sort of create a little banister like this. Obviously bearing in mind that wooden structures, so the regular wood pieces like this one, the log pole, and even the new Ashlands tier ashwood pole will all take damage from rain and also from the ocean when it's a little bit more windy and the waves are coming up and down on your dock. This means that the health of these over time will reduce to 50% of their maximum health, and therefore they will start to look degraded and change the way that your dock looks. The only wooden pieces that won't take damage from water are the dark wood poles, but by the time you've unlocked dark wood poles, you will have already unlocked stone. So let's move on to the stone docks now. Now similarly to before, you're going to have to pick out a start point. And with these stone bays, unlike the wood where I've kind of used all the bays the exact same way in order to create a shape that I enjoy, the stone dock will consist of a combination of 2 different bay types. So the first one I refer to as sort of like a stone core, which involves 4 stone wall 4x2s sort of overlapping into each other and creating this 2x2 shape, or this I guess 4 meter by 4 meter shape that you can easily start your dock from or use as a sort of area to change direction. So when it comes to extending out these stone docks, you're going to use a similar technique as we did with the wood, so using these regular wood poles just to sort of map out the space that you need. So with this wood pole in place, we're going to grab the stone wall 4x2, and we're going to make sure that we are locking it on the outside of the beam here like this, and then we can come through with the stone arch, place 2 to bridge that gap on either side. You can just leave this space in the middle open and save yourself some resources. Now as I go, I like to remove the wooden sort of construction pieces, and you can just fill in the stone floor 2x2 behind you as you go, or you can just leave it till the end. So we now know the 2 bay types you can use in order to form a stone dock. We've got this one here which consists of the arches, and the other one which I've been referring to as the stone cores. So if you do another core one here, I'll show you what it's like to build it sort of midway through the dock. Because we want the stone walls to overlap, we're going to be building the wooden beam from this side now instead of the outer edge. And then we'll build down with the regular wood posts to the bottom like this. Now we want these to overlap, so this time we want the stone wall to be on the inside of this wooden beam, like this. And it is easier if you do it sort of layer by layer on the bottom, like this, rather than building up fully on one side and then having to overlap them through that. So this is what that's going to look like. And like I said previously, these core areas are perfect areas for changing direction. So if I want to come out to the side here to change direction, same technique, because we're going to use an arched bay here, we're going to point this sort of out away from the wooden beam. We'll come up, we can delete those two pieces, bridge the gap with the stone arches, take out the construction pieces. We might create another bay sort of protruding out into the ocean a bit more. With the stone docks, you can start to build out into deeper water. The only problem you might find is that you'll struggle to get the snapping point for the points at the bottom of the ocean. So typically if you have 3 wood poles going down, you can just create a little platform sort of closer to it. If you jump over here, you should be able to snap on the location if it's only 3 down like this one. However, if you decide to start going a little bit deeper than that, I'll show you some techniques that you can use to sort of mitigate this. The first one would be just by building a simple raft. Now this will obviously get you closer to the water, but it won't get you too close down. However, you can see here, I'll just show you that from here, I will be able to reach the bottom locking points. There we go, so that's quite easy. And if you're really struggling, you can do one other technique, which I actually prefer more, to be honest, and it involves one of these carts. So if I build a cart and throw it into the water like this, I can then jump into the back of it, and this is going to have a platform that I can actually build from. And as you can see, I'm half submerged in the water, so I can actually get quite low down. I could probably go even one further down than this. It's a really good way to start building over water. What's great about the cart is you can pretty much just walk around in the back of it and walk yourself through water like this. So it's a really useful thing to use if you're building over water or in water. Definitely one of the best techniques that I've come across, and one that not a lot of people know about. So yeah, definitely bear that in mind if you're planning to build something like this. Once you're satisfied with the shape that you've created, you can come back with the stone floor 2x2s and just build all the way along, building it up like this. The only thing you might have to plan ahead of time is to make sure that the amount of pieces along the foundation matches up with your stone floors. Otherwise you will have a situation like I'm going to have at the side here, where if I build these, I'm going to be left with sort of half a spot here. And the best way to get around this is really just to sort of overlap these two pieces like this and like this. So there we go, we've got the foundation in place. And when it comes to decorating this, I like to use the dark wood beam 4 meters and just sort of going around the edges like this. And if you have some spare iron, you can go around with the cage wall 1x1 around the outside, because I think it just adds a little bit extra detail. I'm not going to go through every way to decorate your dock, but something like this always works pretty well for me. Obviously, just don't put a cage wall in the areas where you're going to need to jump on and off your boat. So for example, if I'm planning to park my boat here, I might leave this section open and just come around the outside like this. And then I would maybe have my, I guess it would probably be like maybe a carve at this stage. I'd have my carve here. Now after some time, you're eventually going to get your hands on black marble, which is going to be the next heavy building component in the game. And the technique I like to use for black marble is slightly different from what we've seen before. So again, you're going to mark out your starting location, and rather than come 2 out on the sides, you're going to come 1 out on the middle. And then you're going to come down 1. And to be honest, there's a lot of nice ways that you can build docks with black marble. This is just one way that I like, and I'll leave it up to you to create some other ways that you like. But this is going to be the black marble column wide on the bottom. Then we're going to jump to the column small, locking it in all in the centers at this point. Then you can take out the construction pieces, grab ourselves a black marble floor, locking from the bottom. And then just going around the outside like this. So if I show you that again, when you've got these 2x2 bays, we're going to come out 1, we'll come down to the appropriate level. Maybe even just using a wood pole 1 meter at this stage. Place down that foundation piece. Now this one is quite shallow, so maybe I'm actually just going to add in another one here. Take out that one. Take out the wood construction pieces now, and we can put in the black marble column small. And we are going to be relying on the bottom locking points for this black marble floor piece. The good thing about this method with the black marble is that it's really simple to set up. And because the black marble column wides and column smalls lock in the center, makes it really easy just to do it with sort of minimal, I guess, construction points. After setting the initial one on the bottom, you don't really need the wood columns coming down anymore. So once you've got a shape that you're happy with, I've went for something like this. it's going to come down to decoration. Now I have a sort of standard decoration I like to do for my black marble pieces, and it involves these black marble column smalls. So starting with the top center lock point, I'll just go around, I guess, every 2 black marble floor pieces, I'll place one down. Again, obviously you have to bear in mind where you might be parking your ship. So I'm going to park mine right at the front here, which means I'm going to leave this section open. And then going to work around all the places where I put a column in on the bottom level and just build up. And then what I like to do is place down the darkwood beam 4 meters along the bottom and place the cage wall one by one, just sort of connecting the dots here like this. And once you've gone around the full structure, you're going to be left with something that looks like this. Like I said, there's many ways to do it. This is just a simple technique that I use for building with black marble across water. If we come to the side, we can kind of get an idea of what it looks like all together. And that leaves us only with the brand new heavy building component from the Ashlands called grausten. Now, building with grausten, you're kind of going to end up with almost a combination of the wood and the black marble situation. So similarly to before, go ahead and pick your starting location. I'm going to use the medium pillars, and I'm going to be locking top center and bottom center throughout this piece here. And just before you get to sort of the floor level, you want to leave it one beneath that, and then we're going to be going up with the grausten tapered pillars like this. So if I just build out here and show you that one more time, I'm using the top center piece, remove the wooden construction pieces, and then if I get a bottom center lock point here, you'll see we've got the 2 tapered pillars at the same height. And then similarly to all the other ones we've done, we're going to be using the wood pole 2 meters to get those ground locations. And then like we did with the black marble, we'll lock this in, centered down the middle here, remove that, place down the bottom center, and we're going to do this all the way along, almost like we did for the sort of wooden ones right at the start. Now with this ones, because the medium pillars are only half a block high, you might get to a point where it's actually better just to use the wood pole 1 meters rather than the 2 meter ones. If you're sort of building this in a regular mode, you probably want to be quite careful, because if you break down your grausten, it's going to sink to the bottom. When you get to the deeper water, it's going to be quite difficult to get back. So we can take out our construction pieces here. We'll place down tapered pillars on top of these 2, and with the grausten floor 4x4, you can place down our first piece like this. And it's pretty much as simple as that. We're going to use this exact technique all the way along, creating whatever shape of dock that we want, and topping it off with the grausten tapered pillar like this. So by this stage, I've pretty much shown you all the techniques that I already used, so it should be fairly simple, especially if you're not already at the grausten building stage when you're watching this video. If you're probably going to have to come back or gain some experience building with black marble or stone until you get to grausten and tackle the new Ashlands biome. And then when you do eventually get grausten, building these docks like this should be pretty easy for you if you have a little bit of experience with the techniques that I've shown you in this video. Now actually coming back to sort of decoration, I'm going to actually make this last pillar a little bit taller than the rest of them. So it's going to be the grausten tapered pillar placed down at the level of the flooring, and then we'll do the same at the back there as well. We can place down some grausten stairs, so we're kind of moving on to the decoration part now, and then we can go with the grausten floor 4x4 like this. And what you can also do with the grausten is make use of these grausten wall arches. You can sort of place them down along the edge of the walls like this. So just making use of the top locking points like this, building all the way along. And that's going to leave this sort of really nice decoration along the side like this. So when it comes to sort of tying off these ends, similarly as we did on the black marble with the dark wood beams, we're going to use the grausten beams here to go along the edge like this. And you just want to make sure that you're locking into the corner points, so you're getting 4 of these pieces along each small bay that you've created. With any section where you're kind of coming up a level, I'll normally use these grausten wall arches, come up on either side to meet this, and then up at the top here, you have a choice if you want to use the cage wall 1x1. I think looks pretty good. So if we place these in here like this along the top, you can also use the new ashwood decorative windows locked in at the top points like this, and that looks really good like this. But as I said earlier, the ashwood still takes damage from the rain and from the ocean, so these are going to degrade to 50% health over time. However, unlike the items such as regular wood and the core wood, which change quite dramatically in terms of how they look when they get damaged, the ash wood dividers actually don't change that much at all. So even at 50% health, they pretty much look exactly like this. So once you're done decorating, it's going to look something like this. Of course, whatever side you plan on having your boat at, you don't want to sort of create a barrier here because it's going to make it harder to get on and off your ship. And then of course you can place down your new Ashlands tier Drakkar ship here. One last thing I'll show you just before I go is I really like to put down a sort of iron fire pit just here to act as almost like what a lighthouse would do. Lets you see where your dock is when the weather in the game is quite bad. So I'll show you what I like to do here. I think it's a really good combination of the old build pieces with the new grausten build pieces, and what it makes use of is these log pole 4 meters snapping on from the bottom. Might just need to remove some of these beams in order to do that. We can then replace this back in, and then log beam 4 meters. We can create these lock points from the top side now so that we don't need to remove any more beams. And then once you have this simple frame, we just jump up top using some wooden ladders. We'll grab the wood floor one by one, place down 3 of these in each corner. We'll put a small shingle roof outer corner piece in each section like this. Of course we have to then bridge the gaps with a shingle roof 26-degree piece. At this stage any wood pole 1 meter will do. I'm going to use the ash wood pole 1 meter since we're doing the grausten dock. Again with the wood floor one by one, I'm going to create this sort of perimeter around these beams like this. And then we can place down a shingle roof outer corner across the top here, and you've created this nice little shelter. I just jump down and show you what it's like, and this is going to vent the smoke if you decide to put in a iron fire pit like I am, like this. Now I think that looks really good. It works really well with the grausten, and it's just something a little bit extra. So that's just a freebie that I decided to chuck in for you. This will probably be making an appearance in my new dock build guide, which will be coming soon, which will show you how to build this whole grausten dock base step by step. Anyway, if you made it this far, you now know how to build over water at any stage of the game, whether you're building with wood, stone, black marble or grausten. Hopefully you found this video helpful or useful, and if you did, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as it's the absolute best way to support me and the videos that I create. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.